Hi, host Eric here, host of Talking with Famous People, and today I want to answer the question, what does a healthy ENTP look like versus an unhealthy ENTP? And I got this question from Quora. It was written here. I'm reading it there. I'm going to put in this video link as an answer. And I hope to do an efficient job of answering the question. First, I'm going to do something that ENTPs like to do. I'm going to say what I'm not going to do and why I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to critique the question on the grounds that healthy and unhealthy are questionable terms to be using to describe people. However, I will say that's ripe for critique if one wanted to. I will also note that the reason I'm not doing it is because other ENTPs are likely to do that. And all ENTPs want to be different from one another. Well, they just want to be different from everybody. They want to be unique and special and important or something. I want that too. And so I want to be the top level of meta. So we're metaing all the way out. So it's unlikely any other ENTP will approach it in this way. Quite so absurdly removed. At any rate, that's irrelevant to the question. And so it's not really irrelevant to the question. I would have to position myself here in this situation as a healthy ENTP. To answer this question meaningfully, I can't avoid that question, and I have to position myself in the position of the healthy side, right? Otherwise, why would you take my answer regarding what a healthy or unhealthy ENTP looks like if I'm an unhealthy ENTP who positions himself as a healthy ENTP? So the risk here, if I were to say I'm unhealthy, you'd be probably more inclined to believe me on the grounds of, well, it's a concession, it's not a claim. Or it's the kind of claim it is a concession. It's a claim positioning itself as a concession, is what it is. So if I were to say that, you'd react to that accordingly. So you have to sort of do a read on me and make a determination as to whether that represents healthy or unhealthy behavior itself. Similarly, if I were to say I'm healthy, you're going to make a read on that, whatever impact that might have in your calculus. However, remembering that in this scenario, ENTPs are designated as healthy or unhealthy. So, in this scenario then, we've got behaviors that are being exhibited by healthy ENTPs are going to be the same behaviors by which we judge what counts if an ENTP is healthy. So then we need to figure out what's a way to determine if an ENTP is healthy. It's not exactly the same as the criteria, as the behaviors of the ENTP we're attempting to afford the status to. I would position that one of the best ways you can tell how healthy an ENTP is how transparent he is, or she. The more transparent an ENTP is about shortcomings and such like that, the more likely it is that he'd be healthy. My reasoning here is my own experience of health and ill health. Whatever you think about me now, you may think I'm not healthy. You may think, oh, that guy's crazy. He's not a healthy ENTP at all. Whatever you might think about that, I am, from my own perspective, and I think from the perspective of anybody who knows about my life beyond the last couple of years, I'm vastly more healthy than I used to be. There's large chunks of time when I spent reciting like a mantra, shame and anxiety because that's exactly what I felt all the time. So I know that being happy and having fun is more healthy than that, right? It's got to be. I know that for me, what correlates most strongly with that is privacy. That's just for an ENTP. It's not going to correlate at all for INTP, obviously. But for an ENTP, for me anyway, privacy is necessary when I am vulnerable. And I am vulnerable when I am doing things that I am not proud of and I think are mistakes, one way or the other. When I was drinking a few years ago, I was not proud of myself at all. I was low pro. I was not making it. I was making few social mistakes. I was being very careful. I was getting drunk all the time, staying home, isolating, making sure I would not let out of the secret bag that I was drinking myself to death and in hell. I was in hell. I was in hell with my marriage. I was in hell with my habits. My mind was mush. It was mush compared to what it is now, anyway. Compared to what it was before, and compared to what it is now. Because when you're drunk all the time, you're either drunk or hungover all the time, and then because you're not drunk all the time. You're not drunk at work usually. So when you're a raging alcoholic, then you get super drunk when you get home from work, and then you're super hungover the next day. So if you're not super hungover, because you're just constantly hungover or drunk, so you're just sort of another fucking awful day, and eventually you succumb to the slightly resolvity ways of the 6 a.m. Smirnoff shot. Two of them, before work. Then things really start spiraling. Because you have to calm your nerves, so to speak. What that really means, and I would joke with myself about this all the time. I joke with myself all the time about my absurd, awful contradictions. I was disgusted by my own fucking wrongness. Disgusted. I knew. I'm choosing this. I'm continuing to choose to do this. I'm not gonna stop. I just gotta hurry up and drink myself to death. So I thought, because I didn't think I was gonna be able to quit ever. I tried before, it failed before. I was trapped. I was trapped by my habits of it's too late for me, I'm too old to ever achieve anything now. I've blown all my chances anyway. I'm a worthless drunk. I need to drink more so I can die faster. That was my narrative. That's an unhealthy ENTP. So when I talk to you about these issues of health and unhealthiness, even if you don't think I'm healthy now, recognize at least that I do understand the distinction between healthy and unhealthy in terms of degrees, if not in terms of some absolute notion. Here's the answer. An unhealthy, not 10 minutes in, here's the answer. An unhealthy ENTP would probably stop this video and start it over right now. Redo it, try to get it as perfect as possible, and then live and die with how you guys respond to it. Because he hasn't fully liberated himself to just do a bunch of random shit and just throw it everywhere. And not worry about it. And just trust his own magician status. That's the thing. Healthy ENTPs trust their own magician status. They know they don't have to understand what that magic is or how it works. I don't. Doesn't mean it's not there. You can see it in the text, right? Why did I say that back then? I see now that it obviously was going to cause this. I didn't remember seeing it. I mean, any notion of that back then, I wasn't thinking about it at all. So why did I do that even, that random thing right there that was out of character anyway, but that needed to be done, was the missing piece that needed to be finished in order to accomplish this other thing over here. You know, like magic shit, you know? I don't know why. No magic act. We're rationalists. We don't like using the word magic. Well, I do. I like to use the word magic because I hope to disrupt some of our restricting paradigms that are trying to limit us by precluding language that is exactly as arbitrary and magical, but has connotatively less binding association. Right, my eyes are falling asleep. Unhealthy ENTP. The rest of me is staying awake. My eyes are falling asleep. Unhealthy ENTP is not a good place, right? So unhealthy ENTP is having trouble socially, potentially. We need more than anything else, what we need is a lot of social engagement. And when we're young, we're very possible we're going to seem like we're FE DOMs to some people. Because we're very social with butterfly, or even S. And we are also very zealogy, which means we will learn the ways of the respective groups and learn ways in which we can use. Well, yeah, I saw a webpage the other day that said AHPs will use their TI concoct clever schemes to get attention for themselves. So the healthy ENTP is centered in a large group of people. When I was in high school and I was happy, I had a large group of people around me, and I was getting phone calls all the time. And I was friends with them, they were friends with me, and we'd all hang out. We'd go as a big group and play like softball, and then get in arguments about. I remember an argument where somebody was arguing that we have to go. No, we need to play for real. Doesn't matter if there are girls playing with us. We still have to try extra hard, you know. And that didn't fly with our group at all. But they were just like, no, dude, no, we're not gonna be all aggro with the girls. It's stupid. So anyway, what was the point of that? I was really happy in high school. I would walk in the door, the phone would ring, somebody else would call me. What's going on, dog? So we didn't call each other dog back then. So, dude, what's going on, dude? Not much. What's going with you? Well, I'm looking for a party. You know, I mean, remember, my high school, I graduated in '89. So there's a lot more footwork and finding stuff to do back then than just see on Facebook what's going on. And the no cell phones. I would return to my house. It was a hub of communication. It'd be like phone trees, basically, but they were naturally occurring, not organized. People would call me. I liked very much to be the one who was called, to not ever have to call people. That all I had to do was just be home for a little while and someone would call. I loved it, you know. That was one of the happiest times of my life. I was healthy, probably too brash, But to me, the core experience of health had to do with the fact that I was getting plenty of social needs met. My daughter had a rough middle school. She's now very happy. She's getting all of her social needs met. She's being very social, going out a lot, hanging out with people in ways that her age, is going to find um, significant, compelling, make her feel. And then another ENTP, I have 100% certainty that there are plenty of people who are uh, talking with famous people, if they've seen the host Delilah stuff, they may conclude that that's crazy. That girl's not an ENTP. Yeah, I don't blame you for drawing that conclusion. It's fine that you think you might be right. Who knows? I don't care. I want to stress that. I don't care what type she is. But she's an ENTP. She's just not. You're not seeing her. She's not giving you that data necessarily. I agree with you, but if you saw her as much as I see her, the girl's exactly the same. So she's now healthy. She's happier. How do they look when they're unhappy? Well, Delilah was. She looks. Actually, how does she physically look? She looks troubled. I was in middle school, I was her teacher at her middle school, and she was being bullied a lot. And she spent a lot of lunches in my room. I tried to do everything I could to stop it, but girl bullying is subtle. It's not like boy bullying is louder, easier to catch, easier to shut down, less malignant in nature, and less cruel, less ill motivated. Girl bullying is the worst. It's the worst. They collude to do maximum emotional damage. It's awful. And so I got to witness that. I got to see what, and that was sufficient to make her unhealthy. How was she? Not joyful, like she is now, by nature. Had trouble having things roll off her back, like you're supposed to as an ENTP. It was a hard time. And I was troubled too, but it didn't generalize out to, outside of the mind a little bit. Even with Delilah, not with everything else completely. With Delilah, though, even a little bit. So I tried to. But if I knew she would not if I know she's in a risky situation. That's the problem. So, you know, if she's outside out of mind by, like, oh, she's at Candace's house, the Candace's family, great. I wouldn't think about her at all. Nothing I can do about it then. She's outside out of mind at school is stressful. She's not out of mind, just out of sight. So we both manifested as reduced, less active, less engaged, less joyful, more troubled and uncertain looking and sounding, more fearful, a lot less persistent. I think the healthiness from the ENTP comes in liberation. It's the only way to describe it. A healthy ENTP, rather than it being about internal stuff, a healthy ENTP is just this simple. You got a lot of people around who give him a lot of emotional stuff. Preferably at least one or two that are really close, people who he gets important love from, one kind of love or the other. And preferably a large group of people who are still very positive in their orientation towards him, who feel good about him and may allow him to sort of say, okay, there's external verification that I'm not a bad person, or that I am doing stuff that is of value or something like that, you know? Like, for example, sticking this thing in my ear. Oh, that's a painful sorrow. What'd you do, Eric? Scratch the inside of my ear a little bit with this sharp part. So, final thoughts on the matter. And I'll finish this up in 23 minutes or less. I said in another video, my first ever big popular video, I said, a healthy ENTP is secure enough to anger some people. But an unhealthy ENTP is insecure enough to anger a lot of people, and for no particular reason other than to just sort of middle finger them. It's a really tough line to walk. I actually kind of had that little section memorized there. I was able to tell you like 5 or 6 sentences in a row, verbatim. That's kind of cool. I guess that means I'm being a narcissist, watching myself. But I watched that video a lot because for a long time it was my most popular one. I was trying to figure out what made it tick. What makes this one better? I think I have a pretty good idea of it. I mean, I don't want to go into that right now. So if you're an unhealthy ENTP, here's some quick checklist you can think about. If you're spending money foolishly or recklessly, that's not a good sign. You should. All ENTPs need to the extent they want to just be aspirational about something, be aspirational about accumulating money. We need it to play properly, and we need it to back up in case any of our sometimes overestimated ability to figure it out on the fly goes awry. If you are not seeking engagement with others, if you feel bad and you're not seeking engagement with others, I'd be concerned. Because our first instinct is to call somebody, let's go out, let's go do something, let's whatever. It's our first instinct. If you are okay with making those calls still and you're having trouble finding people, try to remember that it's a time frame problem. That the reason you feel like you're having trouble finding people and you feel like there's some attribute that you have called like unlovable or unloved or something like that is because you're initially looking at a small chunk of the graph only. And this too shall pass. As an ENTP, it's important we exercise the possibilities in our relationships, in our life, and our activities and everything. Exercise those possibilities. If you feel as though you are an unhealthy ENTP, you need to jettison most of what you currently think is important to focus on because you're focusing on the wrong thing. ENTPs shouldn't be unhealthy unless they've had something terrible done to them. They shouldn't be unhealthy in the sense that they shouldn't fuck up in really bad ways. They should do a lot of fucking up in little insignificant ways. A lot of those. Like Tiffany. This rule. I'm like, okay, you want a t-shirt? You guys send me a postcard in the mail. Free t-shirt. And what does Tiffany do? Sends a ow. Sends a letter snail mail. And then he's like, wow, you should. I'm like, well, it's not a postcard. I'm not gonna send you a t-shirt, JK. You know, I wasn't gonna. It's really FE shit. I want to make sure it was clear I was joking. I am gonna send him a t-shirt, but at the same point, I was annoyed because he clearly feels as though that should be good enough, close enough. What you really wanted the snail mail component of it. It's not really the postcard, Eric. Well, no, that's not what I said. I want the fucking postcard. I said I wanted a postcard. But I am going to send him a shirt anyway. But here's how I'm going. You see what the funny thing is, we were talking the other day about how much we hate when the rules apply to us. And, you know, you tell them, you do this, you get a free one. We want to do it some other way and get it anyway. We want that shit that the other people aren't allowed to do. So, you are going to get a t-shirt, Tiff. But you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to send Zach a t-shirt. And he didn't even send me anything. Right? So, instead of being special by getting away with more shit, you get away with less shit. I am that good.